Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the next episode of Tech Tea Time. In the context of Accelerate Digital Now, episode 2, we're talking about the hot topics of IT decision makers in the context of the manufacturing industry because the Hannover Messe is ahead. So if you don't have a ticket yet, get yours at our place and also book one of the sessions because I've got Christian Maasem with me and he will be also at Hannover Messe together with his colleagues. He's partner Connected Industry at Detecon GmbH, a subsidiary of T-Systems. Christian, thanks for having you here.
Yeah, it's a pleasure, Florian, especially talking about the topics of data and information very close to my heart.
That's a very good thing because this is what we have on the agenda today. And just to have a short recap, in the last session, we were talking about the no-brainer 5G and Edge, that this is the big driver for all these trends. But 5G without cloud will do nothing for your business. And then it is also a mindset shift that we need to challenge or that we need to manage because we should and we must go towards an ecosystems thinking. And this is what we will focus on today even more because it's such a huge word or such a huge term. And I want to know more about that. And I know that you have to tell much more about that. But first, to have a little insight from another perspective, we got a little statement from your colleague Stefan Schnitter. He's managing partner for cloud transformation at Detecon and tells us about his view, which is the biggest challenge about what we're talking right now.
Data privacy and data sovereignty are still the key challenges for public cloud adoption today. This results from legal frameworks like GDPR or the recent Schrems II ruling, industry-specific regulation, but also from the need of enterprises themselves to keep control how their sensitive data is processed while moving to the cloud.
All right, Christian, I think this is really clear. We talked about it last time. Stefan is confirming because without the cloud, nothing is working anymore. The big question is, from my perspective, why is that so important and which are the details that really matter from your perspective?
Yeah, just adding to what Stefan said, information is the crucial part. That we have to deal with it is nothing optional by this time anymore. We have certain regulations in place for data security, data safety, and so on, but also all looking towards the advantages of data-driven companies with AI optimizing our processes and even providing us with new kind of smart services for our business models. So we should treat information and data as a new kind of production resource we're dealing with added value to it. And so we have to handle and safeguard it in the very same way.
There are different aspects in there already. Like to make the production more effective, that makes totally sense for me. But when we're talking about ecosystems thinking, to which degree would you say is the potential of new business models due to the new data we have relevant for, let's say, the next 5 years?
It might not be relevant at the first place or in the first years when I still have to optimize myself, my own production line and so on. But as soon as I want to extend my business, I will have to look into other models. I have to share data. I have to share it with my client. I have to share it with other parts of the ecosystem to create even more optimized, even better performing overall information systems. So it's not a matter if, as I said, if you want to stay in competition or be even top of a pack, you should be the one driving forward to share information, to create the interfaces, the APIs, to access it and make a business model out of it on your own before someone else is actually forcing you to.
This is exactly what I wanted to ask, because that sounds to me that this is not an optional thing at all. I mean, even a company who would say, well, I'm doing fine with what I do, so I'll stick with my business. That sounds that the pressure from the outside will grow a lot, saying I do work together with another company and I simply expect that the company can provide data for me in the respective manner I need to, for example, just optimize my production. And basically, I do not care too much about the business model of my partner. Is that something that's changing already? Or would you say that right now we're safe, but this is definitely what will happen?
I think you can see this changing my mindset already. Because we are already living in heterogeneous landscapes with a different IT technologies, solutions, devices, and so on. And it will just increase in future with further automation and so on. And we still want to handle it easier and easier, because otherwise, who can deal with it anymore? So that part of interoperability, integration is a crucial part we have to deal with. And we have to deal with it now before it really gets out of hand.
Mm. And it sounds to me that it's really like a stair we need to take, because while we're talking about creating data and moving data around, there is much more many questions to answer, like the precise cluster of data I want to provide. For example, that brings me into two areas already. The one is data privacy, and the other one is the format of the data itself. Is this something I can start right away, even if the business models or my partners don't expect it yet? Or would you say, nah, put it aside and just start with that topic if it's needed?
Yeah, obviously put it aside and let's see what happens. That might be one gamble, but I think the chances are very low that you're successful with that one. For one, regulations already force you to take care of data privacy. If you want to go into this AI game with a new 5G edge solutions that you can do computer vision, for example, for track and trace in your factory, for object recognition, to do better process and product control and things like that, you will have to face these issues anyhow, because there might be workers inside. You have to protect their privacy, obviously, directly from the start. So that's something you have to deal with. And also in terms of competition. In 5 years, just to set that time frame, it might be trickier and trickier just to sell regular physical objects as they are, with a normal CapEx that they come with. You need to differentiate, you need to add, and that's usually data-driven services you are adding in that regard, and they have to integrate neatly into the brownfield they're actually brought to. So you have to work with others and to make them even more useful, so that you can turn your product-based business actually into a data-based business.
Mm-hmm. So that might be a really interesting perspective when we're looking at, let's say, very generically at supply chains. I mean, everyone wants to stay in the supply chain, wants to save his space and his place in the supply chain. And might it even change towards the race of like faceted offerings, saying I'm the company who can deliver much faster, much precise data on top of the product itself that gives me a better position in the whole game? Or is it something that we would talk, let's say, in 10 years and not in 5 years?
Yeah, I would rather count with a shorter time frame in that regard. And I think we might not be even talking about products in certain ways anymore. When you think, for example, about sensor systems, you need to be quite knowledgeable to choose the right one for your situation, to really get the data you're actually after. And since you actually just wanted certain data points or certain information out of it, why is that not provided to you? So a sensor producer might turn into an information broker or an information provider who makes sure with his systems he can produce, or those of others and the integration into your landscape, that you get exactly the information you need for your dashboard, for your AI applications. So a new kind of understanding and treatment of information as the basic resource of production.
Right. So this is an excellent example, I would say, for the idea of the mind shift we were talking about in the last episode, right? Saying the product itself that has to be delivered is kind of the no-brainer. No one is asking about the product itself. It simply has to be there in time, in the quality. But the real gold nuggets are indeed the data that comes with it and the potential how to create the data. That's really fascinating. But also most probably kind of, probably also threatening when we're looking at the other part of what that means. Going back again to data privacy, security, is this something I need to have in place first, like a stable architecture, a stable concept for security? Or would you say, nah, the good news is we all need to do our homework right now, and with the same effort, you can attack this issue and the third issue as well?
I would say by now it goes hand in hand. If you want to make the progress and keep ahead with the pack, basically, of the rest of the companies going in that direction in your field and in others. But that's not actually a problem doing that. When you consider it from the start, that's the security by design aspect, and really treat information as the new resource with the value it offers, and you might not even be able to contemplate fully at this point. But also make sure that you don't just put the fence up all around it and say, oh, that's my data, I don't know what it's worth. Fine, but I keep it to myself. Really sharing increases the value, and you have to find it early on, but you can also do it in a step-by-step approach, not to be overwhelmed by the whole concept, turning it into a data ecosystem, sharing it with the world, basically. That doesn't have to be in one step.
Yes, definitely. And the good news is also with Tech Tea Time, we've decided that data spaces is such a huge topic that we will deliver an episode for this issue. But to stay with this more focused perspective where we are now, because in the last episode we were just like kind of drawing a general picture of the topics itself. Now we've addressed again the issue data privacy and why data really matters and becomes also the primary product kind of when it comes to the mindset. But then we definitely need to put our fingers as well on data sovereignty here, because we have the idea of we need to send the right data to, let's say, our customers, our partners, but then we need to stay desperately sovereign with how we send it, where the data is, and stuff like that. Is that kind of a third layer we need to do also on a parallel basis, or would you say now that works another way as well?
I think you put it right. It's part of a process that we have to look into this kind of data management, that we treat the data and govern it as we see fit to make it our business resource, maybe our prime business resource at some point. So data sovereignty is a big topic, and luckily so at the moment it's addressed more and more directly from the start. Would
you say that one could have a look at different industries who are working with the issue a bit more intensively already, or are there really tough specifics for the manufacturing industry when it comes to data sovereignty?
Quite often, whenever we look in further automation, digitization, also when we talked about Industry 4.0, you saw, for example, the automotive domain going ahead because they have huge supply chains with all the tier 1, tier 2, and so on suppliers. They have to get orchestrated to have the on-demand production later on, bringing it all together without any interruptions. So they are already quite aware of it. I think they are quite often also at the forefront of these discussions. Also, when we talk about Catena X and others in the next episode, this is where you will find some good examples, but also in other parts when it's about end-to-end transparency. So you will find it also in other supply chains later on. But I think the automotive industry might be a good pointer to see where it's headed.
Interesting. And interesting as well for me, because when I think about how to set this up, I mean, as a customer, like now I've understood that I have to do things simultaneously, that it makes sense to address different topics while I'm grabbing my data issue anyway. And it sounds to me that I need to bring a total different bunch of people on the table to make them understand why it matters, to get the support, to get the yes from their side. Is this something you experience a real change, that it changes whom you talk to within the companies?
Definitely it does, because it affects so many different departments. You talk with research, you talk with sales, you talk with business development because of the new opportunities it brings. So really a bunch of different functions coming together, trying to make use of that information. Might it be the connected car, might it be the connected forklift we are talking about. Mm-hmm. And even the other roles around it, for example, responsible for their maintenance, operation, maybe the ones leasing them. So a whole bunch of them brought together just by the one asset with a lot of different perspectives on the information inherited.
So hopefully the right people will join the Hannover Messe as well. Because it still has that image of, okay, this is where all the IT guys go to, but I got nothing to do with it. That seems to change dramatically as well. Would be interesting to see the visitors' profiles. Like, did they understand already that this is also for them, even if they're not directly in IT? But talking about Hannover Messe, you're coming there with many partners, and this is for a good reason. Because I believe that if you're starting such a project for a customer, is it just you and your team internally who do have all the competence to set this up, these different layers parallel, or is it so that we say also here that the ecosystems thinking, the partner thinking is something that grows stronger and stronger?
As everyone, I would like to say, of course, we can do everything on our own, but unfortunately that wouldn't be true in that regard. We have a quite good grasp about the different use cases involved when you talk data-driven services with the different technologies. We know their challenges, we know their potentials, and also what works together, what not. So that's usually we bring to the table when we orchestrate these kind of ecosystems for providing the added data value. And then know also who to involve from the solution side, on the software, on the hardware side, who can integrate it so that the industrial user doesn't have to face all of these different and difficult questions on their own, and basically provide them all-in-one solution after all.
All right, so that definitely underlines the idea that complex challenges really need strong partnerships. Good news, this is what you live, this is what you do, you walk the talk, one could say. And I guess this is one more reason to visit you at Hannover Messe. So ladies and gentlemen, Christian will be there, his colleagues will be there, his partners will be there. You will see what it means to work together with these people on your demands, on your needs. So if you don't have a ticket, please take a moment and ask yourself, are you bringing the right people to Hannover Messe, really? Or should you get some more tickets? And also book the sessions. Christian will be one of the hosts. And so hopefully see you at Hannover Messe soon. And at the upcoming Tech Tea Time episode where we're going to talk mainly about data spaces, and also Catena X will be on the agenda as a really interesting blueprint of what will happen in the manufacturing industry. So far, have a good time. See you soon. Thank you. Goodbye.